Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this discussion about an amazing film that hopefully you all get to see. The name of the film is Gaining Ground, The Fight for Black Land. We are here with our director, writer, producer, Eternal Polk. Thank you for joining us. We're all also joined by Bonnie Verduzco, who is with John Deere, PR and Communications. Thank you both for joining.
Thank you.
Again, I just want to open up and say what an amazing, important film that you've made, and very happy that the world is going to get to see this. I know you've been in some film festivals already. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but I just want to say from a personal standpoint, thank you for making this film.
We appreciate that.
It's been a great project to work on.
I could see that. I have to start off by asking Eternal, why this subject matter? Why did you even want to make this film?
Well, personally, I wanted to make the film because it's a great story. It's great, very interesting conversation about land ownership. So I can't take credit for being the genesis of this project. I have to give that to a colleague of mine, the nurse. You see, I put her whole name together. All right, go back, rewind. So I can't take credit for being the genesis of this project. That credit goes to Denise Hurst Green, who's a colleague of mine who works with Roker Entertainment. She initially saw an article about the work that John Deere was doing through the LEAP Coalition and reached out to them and said, I think we have a story. Would you guys be interested in telling it? And after some conversations that I wasn't privy to, they decided that they wanted to do this film. And where I kind of came in, I heard about the project from Denise. And every time we spoke for the next couple of months, I inquired about the project. What was the status? Do you have a director? I would love to direct that project. I was not so subtly dropping hints that I wanted to do it. And the reason I wanted to do it is because, I had been kind of informed about land ownership with Black landowners from the late 1800s, which really kind of surprised me. And my mind was on the radar ever since. And at 2020, when we had all the upheaval with George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, and Breonna Taylor's deaths, a lot of companies were coming to the market agency I was working with at the time, trying to figure out what to do, of course, what to say. And I kept pushing the conversation of highlighting Black farmers. I thought it was a unique space that a lot of people had not really seen us in. Current day, owning hundreds to thousands of acres of land. I certainly hadn't seen it. And then 2 years later, I hear about Heirs Property. And this project. And that's when I knew that I was kind of meant to do this. And so I had to manifest it. I had to keep putting the bug in the air. And then finally, I got the call to work on the project.
That's fantastic. Now, this sort of brings me to my next question, and that's for Bonnie. Why does a brand like John Deere, feel like they need to get into the storytelling game, and how does that move the brand forward? Like, what are your goals? What are you looking to get out of telling a story like that? And then my second question that I would ask you, part two, is tell us a little bit about the LEAP project.
Yep. So the LEAP Coalition is precisely why we got into the documentary business, so to speak. That wasn't our goal really to be in this space. But through our work with the LEAP Coalition, this opportunity came about with Denise Hurst Green, as Eternal mentioned. So the LEAP Coalition is a coalition that John Deere created after 2020 and all the social upheaval. And when we sat down and asked ourselves, how can we make a difference? What can we do? How can we be involved in an impactful way? That's where we really leaned into this issue of heirs property that we were very familiar with, with Black farmers being really impacted by this more so than others. And we felt this was a perfect space for us to really make an impact, because this is really where we live. This is our customers. And essentially our North Star is our customers. So, it was just made sense for us to be able to participate and make an impact. And so Mark House, who's senior advisor to our CEO, really helped launch the LEAP Coalition. And his vision was, pulling together Black organizations to help Black farmers. And so through LEAP, which stands for Legislation, Education, Advocacy, and Production Systems, our hope is to eradicate heirs property and the issue of heirs property among Black farmers, and to help them unlock the value of that land. So each organization within LEAP really plays a certain role in that. And so through this work, we did some PR around it, and that's how Denise at Roker Entertainment saw one of the interviews that we did with the family, the Eli Robinson family that we've been working with for years to help them gain clear title to their land. And she presented this idea to us of a documentary, and really following some of these families that are going through this issue, and how can we highlight it, and how can we thereby help more people really with this issue, with ultimately our goal is to eradicate this issue.
That's fantastic. Your statement there, Honey, leads me to my next question, and this is to the group. Like the family stories were so compelling. I mean, absolutely incredible. How did you go about finding all of them and sourcing the material? Like, I mean, you guys had to do a lot of homework. I'm like, you had to go to the Library of Congress. Like, you had to find a lot of information. How did you find the families, and how did you know to go where you did to find the material?
Well, I'll kick us off, and then I'll kick it over to Eternal. So Tharlan Fox is our LEAP Coalition manager, and she was really instrumental in connecting us with the families that she's been working with for years in clearing their titles. And so she helped bring some of those families to the Roker team and to Eternal, and to start thinking about how to tell that story. And from there, Eternal took it and he ran with it, and he was able to find some amazing people to incorporate into the film. So I'll let you take it away, Eternal.
So again, I can't take full credit for everything. There was a Shameen Williams who works with Roker Entertainment, various projects. Was introduced to me, and I would literally say, hey, I am thinking about, we need this kind of speaker. And then Shameen would go off, and then I would get an email with a bunch of speakers. So if it was a historian we had a list of historians, and we went through and did pre-interviews with everyone to see their personalities, to see how they presented on camera, how they were able to communicate, this issue, because there were a lot of layers. We're talking about history, we're talking about legal conversations, and also personal conversations. So we were kind of intent on making sure that we had people who presented the story well, so it could be compelling and engaging. And like you said, Library of Congress, the archives, we badgered some of the participants to give us family photos.
Yeah.
we wound up with Shirley Sherrod, we wound up
Ooh,
getting a
yeah.
treasure trove
Good find.
of pictures of that time.
Yeah.
And Clennon King, who works with the family, told us, hey, there's some footage out there with Dr. Sherrod and James Baldwin. And we were like, wait a minute, where can we get this? And it was with the Harvard Archives, but the only problem was that the owner of the footage was in Zimbabwe, and we tracked him down. Thank goodness, thank goodness for the internet, because
Wow.
we were up against a timeline and trying to get this done, and we were frantically um, emailing and Skyping and reaching out to any number of contact. We finally tracked the owner down in Zimbabwe
Wow.
and got permission to use the footage.
What a find. I was like, first of all, I did not really know about Dr. Sherrod and like a history lesson for me. But to find that footage of him and James Baldwin, man, that was amazing. That really added a lot to the film, I feel, in
Right.
terms of,
Definitely.
education.
Yeah, I have to say the Al Roker team has done an amazing job with Eternal's vision and with him directing. You know, as I said before, John Deere was not looking to get into the documentary business. We don't do documentaries. That's not our area of expertise. And for us to be able to say, here, take this story and run with it, and they put something beautiful together. And as you know, as you can see, they did their homework and just brought so many amazing people together. So it was really amazing to see it come together.
Yeah, one of my initial questions was going to be how Al Roker got involved. You guys have touched on that. Tell me about, Al's involvement. Like, was he, giving notes? And I would love to hear from the John Deere side too, in terms of, were you in there along the way? Did you let Eternal and his team do their thing and then give notes afterwards? Can you both touch on that?
Yeah, I have to say, a lot of the upfront work that was done with Tharlan and Shameen, getting the right people together. Other than that, we really just wanted the story to be told. We didn't even need John Deere in the documentary, to be honest. Eternal had to convince my boss, Jennifer Hartman, who's our director of public relations, that we were part of the story. Our participation and our work in the LEAP Coalition, it was part of this story and part of the, hopefully solutions that we're working towards. And it was really Eternal who said that it was important to show our role. But yeah, our intention was really to just let the story shine with so many families, so many great families, and so many different people, and the historians, the Sherrods. We really wanted that to be the focus. So we basically let Eternal just run and go with it. I believe we were only part of one of the shoots. I don't know how many shoots you did, Eternal. I keep meaning to ask you that. I think it was between 10 and 20. I have no idea. Locations all over the country, as you can imagine. And we were really essentially only part of the shoots at John Deere at our headquarters. And otherwise, we really just wanted to be respectful of the story and let it, unfold as it would.
I'm sure as a filmmaker, you were really pleased at how little they butted in. I've worked with brands a lot and in terms of producing content, film and short form, and to have a brand sort of like let you get out what you want to get out without the brand being overbearing in that process, that creative process, I'm sure was a delight for you. So kudos to John Deere for letting the filmmakers do their thing.
So, the good thing about it was, as Bonnie mentioned, that I was definitely spoiled on this project, and I know it, and I had to remind myself of that of any other project moving forward, because to have a brand say we don't want to be in this at all, and I get it from their perspective, and what they wanted an authentic and genuine story that was the story and not the brand. And you don't get that a lot of times, that sort of trust and that faith that the story will be strong enough and the story will be compelling enough, and you don't have to sort of interject yourself. There's a thought, my own personal thought, that, man, the brand in it might challenge us in the sense of getting recognized by festivals and such. But I also thought that's not the story. If we don't have the LEAP Coalition and how it came together and how they were focused internally with doing this work, then we're not setting the example or showing the example for other brands on how you can do this, and how you can be authentic, and how you can have sustainable efforts. Because the LEAP Coalition is a sustainable effort. It's not going anywhere. It's working now and will be working in the future. And Al gave us notes here and there, but he pretty much was like, "Hey, Eternal, you take it and run with it." And the notes we got back, we submitted. We're waiting for notes to come back, and we get, "This was really nice. It's a great shot." We're like, wait a minute, okay, are we getting that? Are we getting that deal where they kind of warm you up first with the good stuff, and then they come back with all? But we didn't have that, and we were totally shocked and surprised. We were a little bit more frantic over different things than the brand and John Deere and the team, and they really felt that we were capturing the story. And so that kind of trust is definitely, it's like liberation, when you're like, that you can go tell a story, and that the brand is like, "Hey, you got it."
Yeah, outside of the story itself, I just thought it was great filmmaking from the shots. I noticed you used a lot of drone footage to sort of capture the vastness and the acres of land that were there. The original music by Omari Jazz, like everything, like really set the tone to help tell the story. From a just pure filmmaking perspective, cinematically, I just thought it was a job well done. So I'm sure, as John Deere and Al Roker are looking at this, they're like, this is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
This is some good work.
And I think, just to add on to that, and Al's role in this, we knew that, we had other companies approach us on a documentary as well. And just meeting with Al and the work that he was doing with Al Roker Entertainment, we knew that, and we felt the passion that Al had for the work, for the mission, for our higher purpose of helping these families and these farmers, and essentially helping close that wealth gap, and generating, hoping to generate generational wealth. And so he was very passionate about this, and our higher purposes aligned. And I think that's why the film was just naturally came through. We both had that higher vision and that higher purpose for making this film. And obviously, when Eternal joined us, he was able to bring it to life in ways we couldn't have even imagined. So I think the fact that our values were aligned is what allowed for such a beautiful film to be made.
And ARE does a lot of work and their mission is social impact, with their storytelling. So they're that niche lined up with what the goals for doing a story like this?
Yeah, for me, it was a history lesson. I think a lot of folks sort of know some of the atrocities that happen, and you know, some of the things you touched on, which I'm very familiar with, like the Great Migration as people left the South to the North. But you know, one of the numbers mentioned in the film was quite staggering to me in terms of the value of land loss. I think it was $326 billion, which sort of like really helps bring to light sort of income inequality and inequity that we're seeing now today, and how that started a long time ago when Black people had all this land and could have passed down that wealth to their heirs and
to their communities as
to their
well.
communities as well. Exactly, exactly. And touching on that point, like I feel like this film was like great stories combined with a history lesson, as well as like providing a useful resource for other Black landowners and farmers. Was the intent of the film to do all three?
I will say yes. I wanted to make sure that this was almost a resting spot for the audience that it affects. A lot of the people going through this don't know every little aspect. They know their particular, issue and conversation. They might not know the history, how they even got into this place. They may not know the people who are advocating in this space to work, the organizations, or in Thomas Mitchell's case, an individual that's going around challenging legislation and introducing legislation to help close the hole that Heirs Property loophole. So I wanted it to be a complete conversation because I was curious. I didn't know anything about this before I came to it, and I felt that the audience would be me. They would say, "Well, wait a minute, but how about this and how about that?" And I just didn't want people walking away with the, "Oh, this bad thing happened to these Black folks, and okay, we're just gonna leave it here." I did want us to see the um, the effect, or the cause, and what happened, what was the response, and how people are coming together now. And the wrap up, I wanted to, wrap up the story so you can kind of see, like, the full circle. You can blame Lord of the Rings and J.R.R. Tolkien for my my storytelling structure, but it's very much influenced by that.
Yeah. And I would say it just goes back to, from a John Deere perspective, to our mission of hopefully eradicating heirs property one day. Through this film, we wanna introduce people to, number one, this concept, because as Eternal said, some families, some individuals don't even know that they have heirs property in their families. And what this film has done already is initiated conversations within families of, what is the status of our land, and I had heard about this, and just finding out more information about their own families and land ownership. And we really wanted to be able to drive people to those organizations that are helping. You mentioned our core organizations, Terry. There's also Center for Heirs Property Preservation. They also do a lot of work in this space. For example, they do will clinics where they educate families on how to generate a will, so that preventing any heirs property issues. And so there's so many aspects to this very tricky legal issue, and people don't know where to start. And so we wanted to be able to show them that there are resources that they can go to.
Just to add a little bit onto that, personal interactions were at random conversations. I was talking to a woman, we were talking about development in her neighborhood, and she, casually mentioned that people were calling about her property. And I said, "Well, is your property, do you have a clear title ownership?" And then she started detailing to me how her father had married another woman, and that woman didn't have kids, but she had siblings. And
Oh my God.
I
Yeah.
said, oh my God, go talk to a lawyer and get your house in a trust or an LLC or in somebody's name, because if they're calling about your property, they're already in the neighborhood. The
Right.
development is going on around your neighborhood. And so, and this is where I am in Charlotte, and you can see different areas and how they've been impacted. This is like currently happening. People are dealing with this right now. So, the impact of the story is not just the people we've seen in the film, but it's definitely happening. And this woman didn't even know what heirs property was until I started talking to her about it and how her home was in jeopardy. And I know it doesn't seem like it, but I've been around enough gentrification like situations, neighborhoods I've lived in, that I know, some of the tactics. I just didn't know about heirs property. And just like me, she didn't know. And this was a casual conversation
Wow.
with someone I struck up with.
It's amazing. Yeah, people need to know this stuff. That's why I think this film is so important. Two last questions, one for Bonnie and then one for you, Eternal. Bonnie, now that John Deere has sort of like dipped their toe into this filmmaking, storytelling arena, any plans to continue on that path, to highlight other subject matters, bring the work that you guys are doing to light?
Well, we actually did have another documentary that we worked on this year.
Oh,
It was a
great.
documentary about volunteer firefighters, and that was a documentary that, again, another opportunity that came to us. And we just so happened to, we're a large organization, and a good percentage of our employees in some of our locations throughout the country are volunteer firefighters. And so this really struck home for us, and it was an opportunity for us to drive education and drive volunteerism for that organization as well. And so I think with the right partner, we're certainly open to the right project. As Eternal said, he was spoiled. We were also spoiled in this project with Al Roker and the passion that they brought to the story, but also the passion that they have for the cause. And so if there is another cause that we're passionate about and that we want to be involved in, and a documentary can help us in that cause, then we're certainly open to it. But aside from that, we're still doing work with Gaining Ground. We've done the film festival circuit, but we are definitely looking to mass distribute the film next year so that we have more folks seeing the content and hopefully generating more conversations.
You took a peek at my next question, which was about the film festival circuit. But before I get to that, thank you for being a part of this film and helping it see the light of day. Really important work that you guys at John Deere are doing. So I'm sure the people that will see this film probably appreciate that you help bring this to light. So just wanted to say thank you from me, helping educate me and see these stories be told. Eternal, talk to me about the film festival circuit, which Bonnie just touched on. You guys have been at ABFF, you Tribeca X. I know you've done Essence Festival as well, other festivals that you guys are a part of. What has that been like, and what has been the response from audiences as you've shown the film?
Well, I'll be honest, I was surprised that we got into as many festivals as we did. I think everyone who was working on this project, we were so focused on telling the story of the people and making sure we were genuine and authentic with that storytelling, that we weren't looking like, hey, well, this is going to get into these festivals. Certainly I approached it like I wanted to be festival worthy. So thank you for your comment about the filmmaking itself, because that was my approach, that I wanted to honor the stories and the people who invested in the stories and the program with what I delivered as a filmmaker. So the festival run has been unlike, well, first of all, this is my first time. So it's been all new to me, but the film has been received so well everywhere we've gone. It's been amazing to me. You know, I've had people crying and talking to me about their particular issue. I've had people call me up, you know, other filmmakers, production companies, producers saying, hey, we had issues in our family with this. And I have to make some phone calls. That has been, I guess, the most gratifying part, that people see the film, and whether we directly had a call to action or not, the film compelled people to check on their land, to check on their situations with their families, whether it's a will, whether it's we have the land, we have the title, we don't know what to do with it. And I had someone tell me that, and they were, you know, well-established person. So it wasn't an economic conversation, it was an information conversation. And so to a T, everyone tells me they were angry at some points, they were crying at other points, but inspired overall, and thankful that we showed solutions and people who were actually working to help. So it's been fantastic. I have to say, it's been a very interesting learning process, but overall, it's been an amazing ride. And again, I'm spoiled. I don't know if I'm going to have this kind of experience again. So I'm looking forward to brand storytelling being sort of the culmination of the year of us traveling with this film.
Yeah, I just think it's a great example of brands collaborating with great storytellers like yourself. We appreciate the work done by all. As you know, I'm a producer as well as someone who's been in the branded content space for a number of years. What you guys have put together is a great example of how you can do something for good, and brands can be behind that. So we appreciate your work. We thank you for this conversation. We hope everybody gets a chance to see the film, Gaining Ground, The Fight for Black Land. We'd like to thank our filmmaker, Eternal Polk. And we also like to thank Bonnie Verduzco from John Deere. Thank you both.
Thank you, Terry.
Thank you.